Hello, my lovelies. I am Catalina Francesca of Kaleidoscope Kat. Welcome to my channel. I am so glad to see you here. So today we are doing a little bit of a getting to know cat kind of deal. Yeah, so let's just get into it. I'm going to start with a few quick demographic-y things. Like, I am in my early 20s. I am American, if you couldn't tell from my accent. Gosh. Yeah. Oh, I am one semester away from a BA in theology, is the other thing. So that's exciting. So first question is, what music are you into? So I like a lot of different kinds of music. Is sort of thing one. But my favorites, because I can't pick just one, it's too hard, is the band U2, so Mysterious Ways, and other songs by U2 that I can think of. Zoo Station's a great song. Love is Blindness, so beautiful. Acrobat, 13 There Is a Light from Songs of Experience is like probably my favorite song ever. I also love church songs, so that's like a whole other genre. But I would say David Haas is probably my favorite liturgical composer. For those of you, actually, this is working so well. I'm Catholic. Let's just sort of start there. So that would be that kind of liturgical composing. So let's see. U2. Leonard Cohen is one of my other favorites. Dance Me to the End of Love is like just one of the best songs in the world, and if you haven't seen it, Some Kind of Soul has posted the Leonard Cohen memorial concert that was on the first anniversary of his death on YouTube, and A, God bless them, and B, the first song is Sting singing Dance Me to the End of Love, and his voice is really just beautiful for it, so highly recommend. I also love Enya and Lorena McKennitt. And those all of my favorite music is really my favorite music because it has a spiritual element to it. Even U2. U2 honestly is some of the most non-overtly spiritual music that I know. Like, even Leonard Cohen is pretty explicitly spiritual in his music choices, and also his music is kind of more like poetry. So there's that. But U2, 13 There's Light, pause this video and go listen to that song and try to tell me that it is not spiritual. Go ahead, I dare you. Okay, best vacation. So what is the best vacation I have ever had? This is a really difficult question because honestly these are all going to be hard questions for me because I am not a very decisive person. Fun facts about me. When I was 10 and when I was 19, my family went to Europe. The first time my cousins on my father's side were living in Europe. They now live in Maine. And we went to Europe to visit them. They were living in Belgium, so we went to a couple different cities in Belgium, and we also went to Venice and Paris, and it was like the best vacation any child could dream of, especially me because Venice is like my jam. So it was so great. And then when I was 19, we went to Europe again, and this time we went to Vienna, Salzburg, the Cinque Terre, Mantua, and Florence for like a day, which was exhausting. Because we tried to do everything, and there's not enough time in a day to do everything in Florence, so yeah, that didn't work out super well. Let's see, but I am a huge Latin geek. That is not something that you will get from the answers of these questions. I'm a huge Latin geek. When I took Latin for 4 years in high school, and when I was a senior, we read the Aeneid by Virgil, which is just so beautiful. And so Virgil is my favorite poet, and he was actually born in Mantua, and then he was exiled. I can't remember for what, but he was exiled for something, and he went back to Mantua from Rome. So they have a Virgil Park. It was grand. It was super cool. Oh gosh, okay, yeah. And then also, when my mom's mother, my grandmother, my Oma, was still alive, when she was still alive, we would go to the Oregon coast with Oma and Opa, my mom's parents, every year. So it's really hard to choose. So the next question is, what is your favorite holiday and why? Wow, oh my god, it's like 9 minutes and I am on the third question. That's cool. My favorite holiday is Easter, because I was born on Easter. And it's just, yeah, like I said, I'm Catholic. Partly Easter always feels like my holiday. Partly it is like the most important holiday for Catholics, at least, Christians in general, probably. So, Yeah, just Easter. Easter just because. Yeah. So, what is something that can instantly improve your day? So, something that can instantly improve my day is looking at the art posters that I have up on my walls, which are from the Europe trip when I was 10. Wait, no. They're from the Philadelphia Museum of Art, not somewhere in Europe. They're from sometime when we visited my Nonna, who's my dad's mother, and she lives on the East Coast. But one of them is The Large Bathers by Renoir, and the other is A Nice River Scene with Trees by Monet. They're both gorgeous, and I love them both, and they make me happy. I also have these tissue paper flowers that are like bigger than my face, that my RA, my junior year of college, made and decorated our wing with that year, and she let me take them at the end of the year, so that was cool. Yeah, so those can just sort of instantly make me happy. Do I prefer going to the movies or watching them at home? I like both. That's going to be a theme for me. I like going to the movies with my family as a family outing because it's super fun. But I also love family movie nights, like at home. So I guess if I had to choose, I would say I would prefer watching them at home because you can pause them to go to the bathroom. Yeah. Which happens like every movie in our household. Pet peeves. I have many. Probably my biggest pet peeve is people spelling discreet wrong. So I read a lot of fan fiction, although actually less recently, because I've been getting very into the whole metaphysical, witchy, spiritual, all of that stuff on YouTube, and I've been doing a lot of that. So I've actually been reading a lot less fan fiction. Yeah. However, I have seen discreet, so there's actually two different words that are pronounced the same. Discreet, E-E-T, at the end, means sort of under the radar, quiet, secret, like doing things discreetly means doing them in secret. Discrete, E-T-E, at the end, means separate. It's like discrete data sets. Separate data sets. I get really frustrated, y'all. It's this whole thing. I'm gonna just stop there. Favorite song to dance to? Ooh, this is hard. Probably something by Marina and the Diamonds, or I guess just Marina now. But How to Be a Heartbreaker, which is from Electra Heart. Such a great song. I mean, also just things by U2. Their songs are great for dancing. Yeah. What instantly calms you down? I have these tracks of music that's ascending and descending notes that are words. Ascending and descending notes that are for breathing to. I did this biofeedback thing, and basically we figured out what is my optimal breathing rate for heart rate variability. Yeah, my optimal breathing rate for heart rate variability. And that is 5.5 breaths a minute. And this music is just super chill and gets me to that so that calms me down right away. It's great. My favorite season of the year. Anything but summer. I'm not a summer person. Like, I love fall and I love winter and I love spring, all for very different reasons, but I'm not a summer person. It's too hot, like, everywhere in the world. Yeah, not fun. What is the best joke you know? I have two. One is an Irish joke. I'm part Irish, so this is not like, I don't know, I think this is hilarious. And the other one is a Catholic priest joke, and it requires some amount of pre-knowledge of, actually they're both Catholic jokes. One's an Irish Catholic joke and one's a Catholic priest joke. The priest joke requires some pre-knowledge of the different orders I'll get there. So, there's this guy who comes into a bar every Friday night. Friday night? Let's go with Friday night. So he comes into a bar every Friday night. He's this Irish guy. This is somewhere in America. I don't know where. And oh yeah, I don't know if you can tell. I got scratched by our roses yesterday. Yeah, you can kind of see it. Anyways, Irish guy comes to this bar every week, and he orders 3 pints of beer, and he'll drink them all, and he does this for like months on end. And so eventually the bartender just asks him, like, why do you do this every week? And the guy tells him, well, my brothers and I, when I lived in Ireland, we would go to the pub every week and drink together, and now we all live apart. One of the brothers is still in Ireland, one of them is, like, I think in Australia, and I'm here. But we wanted to keep the tradition alive, so every Friday night we all go to our local pub and order a beer for each other, which is super sweet, right? I love that. And so then, this continues for several months, and it's been about a year, and then one week he comes into the bar and he orders 2 beers, and he takes a sip from each of them and leaves. And by this time, like, everyone who works at the bar is, like, familiar with him, and they all know him, and they've become, generally fond of him. And they're all horrified. They're like, what happened? Clearly one of his brothers died. So they write a card, and so then the next week, when he comes in and does this again, orders 2 beers, that is, the bartender brings over the card along with the beers and is like, hey man, we're so sorry about your brother. And the guy looks very confused. He's like, what about my brother? And the bartender's like, well, didn't he die? And the man is like, no, my brothers are both fine. It's Lent, and I have decided to give up drinking. So that's joke number 1. The second joke is about a Dominican, a Franciscan, and a Jesuit who go golfing together. They're friends, they've been going golfing together for years. They get to this stretch of the golf course where balls are going everywhere. It does not look safe. And they ask, an attendant, is it safe to play through? And the attendant is like, no, definitely don't. This is the Blind Golfing Association. It's their yearly outing. And the Dominican is like, oh, this is fantastic. I'm going to use this in my next homily. This is such a beautiful example of how, the grace of God can work in mysterious ways, and, even the blind can enjoy golf. And the Franciscan is like, oh, this is so fantastic. We have the blind out enjoying nature. And the Jesuit looks at the other 2 priests, and he looks at the attendant, and he says, can't they play at night? So that's my other favorite joke. I'm gonna just take these out. They're not actually improving anything. They're making it harder. Okay, so what phone app do I use the most? This currently is Instagram. But at other times it's my water tracker or my meds tracking app, which is it's called Round Health, by the way. It is amazing for any of you who have to take more than 1 medication a day or have to take medications at different times throughout the day. It's fantastic. 11 out of 10 would recommend, honestly. Literally the only problem with it is that you can't set up profiles for multiple people on one account. That is my only complaint with it. What is my favorite board game? My favorite board game is Dixit, D-I-X-I-T. It's so much fun. It's a storytelling game. It's sort of a card game. There's these art cards that are about this big around. They're I have the Anna K Tarot deck, and they're about the size of those cards. if you have that, if that's a decent reference point for you. They're a bit larger than sort of standard tarot cards. They're these art cards that they have these really fascinating art on them. So one of them that really, you have to like sort of look closely at the pictures to see what's really going on. Like there's one of them that's like, oh, like it's this girl walking in the snow, and if you look closer you can see that her hair is a crow or a raven. It's a blackbird. It's stuff like that, and it's just a super fun game. Look it up, play it, go buy it for your family. You will not regret it if you're like storytelling kind of people like we are. Yeah, that's just the best board game ever, basically. But I also love Mr. X, which is a mystery game. I love playing Mr. X. It's super fun. I mean, I love playing it as Mr. X, not as one of the Scotland Yard. Oh, no. The second one is Mr. X, and that one is actually not quite as good. The game that I'm thinking of is called Scotland Yard, where basically there's these Scotland Yard detectives chasing this character, Mr. X, around London. And I am a fan of being Mr. X. It's a super fun game. Okay. Let's see. What is my favorite family tradition? Well, every Advent we make these amazing German cookies called Lebkuchen on about the first Sunday of Advent, and then they mature in cookie tins for the next 4 weeks, and we eat them at around Christmas time, so like Christmas through New Year's. And honestly, we usually end up with leftovers after New Year's, and those cookies keep for like ever. They're so good. The recipe, I believe, is in The Joy of Cooking. If I can find like a link to that recipe, I'll put it in the description box down below. Any friends you consider family? Do I have any of those? Yes, I do. My best friend, yeah, she's, if I could like pick a twin, it would be her. I love her. She's amazing. Her name is Freddie. She's great. Yeah. Ooh, what are your relationship deal breakers? My relationship deal breakers. This is an interesting question. Oh, well, going off of actual relationships that I have had that have not worked out, people using me as their motivation for doing things, for just like I had a boyfriend in college who, well, I'm still a college student, but I had a boyfriend my junior year who was like using me as his motivation for like doing schoolwork and getting stuff done, and that's like really just not a healthy way to be thinking about a relationship. So like unhealthy relationship things like that, I am not here for. So yeah, that's one thing that I'm just really like not here for. Not valuing and honoring human life. So people who act in like disrespectful ways towards like other people, who just like don't see the inherent value of other human beings. of every human being. Like, you know, even people who've done terrible things are still people and they still have intrinsic worth. So that, for me, is, like, that is so important. That really is a deal breaker. So stuff like that, not really, I don't really do, like, sort of superficial things. It's like, oh, like my best friend, who I love, who I do consider, like, really a part of my family, she hasn't read Harry Potter, and I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. I still love her. Like, her not having read Harry Potter, you know, when I was younger, yeah, I think I have, in fact, said that I wouldn't be friends with someone who hadn't read Harry Potter, and I take that back. Yeah. Superficial things like that don't matter so much to me. Okay, so what is your religion or spirituality? I think I already said this. I'm Catholic. I'm a witch. I'm a, like, energy sensitive person. I think that all of those things can be compatible. I'm not Catholic because I don't have any issues with the magisterium or with the hierarchy of the church. I'm Catholic because I do, actually. You know what, I'm probably just gonna make a whole, this is, like, enough, that's enough material for a whole nother video, like, why Kat is still Catholic. I'll do another video on that, but yeah, that's a lot of material, and I don't think I have enough time to cover it. Would you rather someone be honest and hurt your feelings, or would you rather someone lie to protect your feelings? This really depends on the situation. If it's something that's, like, really important, I would rather someone, like, tell the truth and have my feelings be hurt. But if it's something small, like, I mean, if it's something small, to be honest, I don't know. I can't think of something where, like, my feelings would be hurt. I would prefer not, I mean, I think sort of generally I would prefer people to at least say things, like, as gently as possible to spare feelings, but generally, but, like, for big things, I would definitely rather have my feelings be hurt and know the truth. What would I do with 3 wishes? Hire a lawyer. I would hire a lawyer to help me, like, word them as well as possible. That's what I would do. But sort of generally, I would wish for, a cure for this medical condition called Prader-Willi that my sister has. I would wish for, people to, like, implement systems to halt and reverse global warming. And I don't know, I mean, I don't want to sound materialistic, but I would probably be like, okay, I can't think of, like, I know that you know, I can't do enough good with just 3 wishes, so I would wish for, like, I don't know, some amount of money every month. Just, like, from God. Or the universe, or whatever. Yeah, I think that's what I would do. Do you believe in second chances? Yeah, I do. I do. I think that people need to be able to have hope. I think that there are some things that, like, particular relationships between individuals cannot survive. But I don't think that there's anything that cannot be forgiven. And hey, hello? Hi, Mom. I'm still filming. It's okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, they're under my desk. It's cool. I'm just gonna edit this out. It's fine. You know what? In fact, I'm gonna take a water break. Yeah, I believe basically just yes, I believe in second chances. Am I an organ donor? I am not. I am not an organ donor. I think that the system needs to be changed so that people have to opt out of being organ donors. Because I think that if things were structured that people are lazy, basically, is what I learned in microeconomics. People need incentives to do things. So if you want people to do something, you have to make it so that there has to be an incentive for them to want to not do it. So yeah, basically, the organ donation system should be set up so that you have to opt out of organ donation. However, if it was set up that way, I would opt out because I have some medical stuff going on that I really just I don't know how it's carried in my body. I don't know. Basically, I don't know if my organs would, you know, add to somebody's problems, and I wouldn't want to do that. And that may sound like trite or like I'm making excuses, but this really is something that I've thought a lot about, and I am not. I'm just not comfortable with it. I'm not comfortable with it as a choice for me. But you know, if it's a choice that you feel comfortable with, then absolutely good for you. Fantastic. A+. Like, go for it, please. If I could time travel, when and where would I time travel to? The future, where there's actual pain medicine that has been, like, developed for women. If you have not heard, apparently most pain medicines are really, like, in rats, are only tested on male rats, and pain in general is only understood in the male system. And there was some scientist who started studying pain in female rats, like, on his lunch breaks, because he had noticed that they were only studying pain in male rats, and apparently pain in female rats is very different. than painted male rats. So the future is where I would time travel to. Yeah, I'm salty about main stuff. What would you title your memoir? So this is actually a funny question for me because my mother and I are actually thinking of writing a memoir. And we would call it some variation on Life in the Woods. So like My Life in the Woods, Our Life in the Woods, maybe just Life in the Woods. And it would be about sort of all of our medical adventures. Her as the parent and me as one of the two children in the household who both actually had medical stuff growing up. But mine actually, my sister's was more severe and present at birth, and yeah, and so we just didn't really find out about mine until I was 9, and it had been going on for a while. So that is that. That's what our memoir title would be Life in the Woods, or some variation thereof. What allergies do you have? I am allergic to pineapple, possibly kiwi, and also possibly soy, which is really unfortunate because my dad and my best friend are both allergic to dairy. But I also have sensitivities to citrus fruits, especially to the smell of citrus fruits. They're my biggest headache trigger. So if you buy anything in my Etsy shop, as long as you don't want it substituted for something citrusy, I will substitute any of the ingredients if there's an allergy or a sensitivity reason why you can't have any of them. I mean, not for tarot readings, because tarot readings, that wouldn't make sense, but for any of the physical things. I don't include citrus in anything that I make, but if, like, frankincense, which is one of my absolute all-time favorites, if frankincense is a big headache trigger for you, please tell me, and I will find a way to make whatever the thing is without frankincense. That's just it. Do you have any recurring dreams? I have a couple. The one that I think I'm going to talk about is from when I was a kid. So I would have this recurring nightmare, actually, where I was Clara in the Nutcracker, Clara / Marie, the main character, the girl. And it was the scene where the toy soldiers are fighting the mice, and the Mouse King comes out, and Clara / Marie throws her shoe at him and kills him, basically. That's what happens in the story. In my dream, however, I threw my shoe at him, and I missed by, like, not even by a little bit, by a respectable margin. I missed so badly. It was like, I missed by, like, feet. Like, several feet. Like, many feet. It was bad. And then, the Mouse King would come over to me and would literally, and I don't mean this in, like, the figurative way, I mean literally as in literally, would literally bite off my head. And I would just sort of, like, float up above my body and just sort of, like, hover there over my body. Oh man, that was actually not the scariest dream I had as a kid. The scariest dream I had was about Voldemort, but that one only happened once, thank goodness. But yeah, that Nutcracker dream was scary. Eventually it got boring because I'd had it so many times. But yeah, it was a fun one. Would you rather have your dishes or clothes be magically clean? I would rather have my dishes be magically clean. That would be so cool because I do not like washing dishes. When I was living in the dorm, my dishes would pile up like on the floor in front of the sink. I hate washing dishes. I just hate it. So if I could like magic my dish, if I just like snap my fingers and my dishes would be clean, that'd be so cool. I don't mind running a washing machine for clothes. If it was a question between washing dishes by hand and washing clothes by hand, that would be harder. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't like dirty dishes. Dirty clothes are fine. And what is the last question? What is the first thing you wanted to be as a grown-up? Probably a ballerina. I have the wrong body type for that, unfortunately. But the thing that I actually still wouldn't actually mind, is being a copy editor. That was when I was in 5th grade. They did this like grade school graduation thing where they went around and they asked everybody, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said a copy editor. You know, 5th graders saying like, I want to be a copy editor when I grow up. Sounds so goofy. But yeah, I wanted to be a copy editor, and honestly, I would still go for it. I love correcting people's mistakes. I love grammar. It's not about correcting people's mistakes. I enjoy helping people to make themselves better understood. If you are a writer, there's this amazing website called Scribophile. And Scribophile will let you post works basically in exchange for critiques of other people's works. And so I do critiques on Scribophile of other people's works, and that is super, super duper fun, basically. So, yeah, so that is it. I hope you know me a little bit better now. It's been a little bit weird sitting here talking to a camera about all of these questions, but also really fun. So have a lovely, lovely, lovely rest of your day, whatever time of day it is for you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.